Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Stoic Compass. I'm Jim Walker, and today we're talking about nuclear meltdowns, which is a fun way to start your morning.
I'm Eleanor Vance, and I promise this gets less terrifying, eventually.
Before we dive into catastrophic failures, hit subscribe. Because if this podcast fails, we want it to be due to multiple systemic issues, not just low subscriber count.
That's very meta, and I'm not sure it works as a sales pitch.
So I read this essay by Abhishek Chakraborty about disasters in system design. And Ellie, I think it explains why my New Year's resolutions always fail.
Your New Year's resolutions fail because you made 14 of them and gave up by January 3rd.
How do you know that?
Because you told me, in detail, while eating an entire pizza on January 3rd.
That pizza was part of my meal prep strategy.
You ate it in one sitting.
Efficient meal prep. Anyway, Chakraborty starts with Chernobyl, and here's the thing. Everyone thinks they know why it happened.
Soviet incompetence, bad management, cost-cutting, the usual suspects.
Right. But he says that's not actually why disasters happen. The so-called root cause is never the main reason.
Wait, what? Then why did Chernobyl explode?
Okay, so they were running a test. They wanted to see if they could keep cooling water circulating during a power outage until backup generators kicked in.
That sounds reasonable. You'd want to test that.
Totally. They'd done it 3 times before. But this 4th attempt got delayed by 10 hours, so a completely unprepared shift had to handle it.
Uh-oh.
Then the reactor power unexpectedly dropped to near zero. They got it partially restored, but now the reactor's in an unstable condition.
And they didn't notice?
Here's the kicker. They disabled the safety systems for the test, so the risk wasn't evident. Plus, the operating instructions didn't cover this scenario.
So they just kept going?
They completed the test and tried to shut down. But the unstable conditions plus reactor design flaws caused an uncontrolled nuclear chain reaction.
And boom, Chernobyl.
Exactly. But here's Chakraborty's point. Everyone blames the unprepared operators, but that's not really why it happened.
Hold on. They disabled the safety systems and proceeded with an unstable reactor. That seems pretty causal to me.
But that's only one factor. There's also the 10-hour delay, the design flaws, the inadequate instructions, the fact that 3 previous tests had failed.
So it's not one thing going wrong. It's everything going wrong at once.
Yes. And he gives another example. 3 Mile Island in the U.S., 7 years earlier, 7,000 miles away.
I remember this one. That was the partial meltdown, right?
Right. So technicians are doing routine cleaning and accidentally get a bubble stuck in a sensor. This stops the coolant pumps.
A bubble? Like one bubble caused a nuclear disaster?
That's what everyone says. But wait, there were auxiliary pumps. Except they were closed for maintenance, which violated operating procedures.
Okay, so 2 things went wrong.
3 things. The pressure relief valve got stuck open due to mechanical failure. But the control room light only showed if the valve mechanism was powered, not if the valve was actually open.
So they couldn't tell it was leaking coolant.
Right. And there was one sensor spiking that would have told them, but their training said to ignore that sensor and check others instead.
This is like a comedy of errors, except it's a nuclear reactor.
Exactly. The reactor overheated for 11 hours before they figured it out. Partial meltdown, radiation leak, the whole disaster.
So what's the point? That everything fails all the time and we should just accept nuclear meltdowns?
No. The point is we suffer from hindsight bias. We look back and say, well, if they hadn't gotten that bubble stuck, this wouldn't have happened.
But that's true, isn't it? No bubble, no disaster.
Chakraborty says that's wrong. There's this idea from chaos theory that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can cause a tornado in Texas.
I've heard this. The butterfly effect.
Right, but here's the thing. There aren't as many tornadoes as butterfly flaps. Any random event could set off a chain reaction, but that doesn't mean it will.
Oh, so just because the bubble triggered the chain doesn't mean the bubble was the real problem.
Exactly. In complex systems, errors happen every day. Bubbles get stuck, coolant systems fail, technicians ignore procedures.
But most of the time nothing explodes.
Right, because there's redundancy and margin of error. Catastrophic failures only happen when enough small errors line up and compound.
So it's not about one root cause, it's about the whole system being fragile.
Yes. And this is where it gets stoic. The Stoics understood that you can't control individual events. You can only control how you design your systems.
Okay, I'm listening. But first, how does this apply to your 14 failed New Year's resolutions?
I was hoping you'd forgotten about that.
Never. What were they again? Gym, meal prep, learning Spanish, reading more, journaling, meditation.
Okay, you don't need to list all of them.
Waking up earlier, drinking more water, calling your mom weekly, cleaning your apartment, budgeting better.
This is cruel.
My point is, you designed a fragile system. One missed gym session cascades into eating pizza, which cascades into staying up late, which cascades into not calling your mom.
That's exactly what happened. How did you know?
Because it's what always happens. Your system had no redundancy, no margin for error. One bubble stuck in the sensor and the whole thing melted down.
So, my New Year's resolutions are 3 Mile Island.
Pretty much. Chakraborty says the goal isn't to make error-free systems. That's impossible. The goal is to make error-proof systems.
What's the difference?
Error-free means nothing ever goes wrong. Error-proof means things go wrong all the time, but the system keeps working anyway.
Oh. So instead of trying to go to the gym every single day, which I'll inevitably fail at, I design a system where missing a day doesn't destroy everything.
Exactly. The Stoics would call this preparing for obstacles. Marcus Aurelius wrote about expecting setbacks and building them into your plans.
So I should assume I'm going to fail sometimes.
Not assume you'll fail. Assume errors will happen, which is different.
How?
Assuming failure is pessimistic and passive. Assuming errors means you design around them. You build in backup systems.
Give me an example with my resolutions.
Okay. You wanted to meal prep every Sunday, but what happens when you have plans on Sunday?
I eat pizza for a week and hate myself?
Right. Error-proof system means having backup meals in the freezer, or knowing 3 healthy places that deliver, or meal prepping on Saturday sometimes.
So redundancy, like how nuclear plants are supposed to have backup cooling systems.
Exactly. Except yours shouldn't be closed for maintenance in violation of procedures.
Fair. Chakraborty gives this amazing example about your body. Every day, between 1 and 5 of your cells turn cancerous.
Wait, what? That's terrifying.
But your immune system catches and kills them. A couple dozen times a week, over 1,000 times a year, you get cancer, and your body self-corrects.
That's actually incredible. The body works regardless of errors.
That's his whole point. Good systems work regardless of errors. Your body doesn't try to prevent every cell from turning cancerous. It just deals with them efficiently.
So I shouldn't try to prevent every mistake. I should design systems that handle mistakes well.
Yes. He says catastrophic failures happen due to bad system design, human error, poor training, miscommunication, bad processes, and countless other factors.
There's seldom one major factor with a cascading effect.
Right. And the same is true for success. A company doesn't succeed just because it has a great CEO.
You don't have a healthy relationship just because you're a nice person.
You don't win a competition just because you worked hard. There are multiple factors, some outside your control.
This is so stoic. The dichotomy of control again. You can't control every variable, so you design resilient systems instead.
Chakraborty says a good system helps you stay healthy regardless of occasional drinking and partying.
A good system helps you get more done regardless of procrastination.
A good system helps you ship your product regardless of developmental hiccups.
So how do we actually design these error-proof systems? Because this sounds great in theory, but hard in practice.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this. With my resolutions, the problem was they all depended on perfect execution.
Which is impossible.
Right. So instead of 14 separate resolutions that all have to work perfectly, what if I had 1 or 2 systems with built-in flexibility?
Give me an example.
Instead of I will go to the gym 5 days a week, it's I will do some form of movement most days, and I have 3 backup options if the gym doesn't work.
Like what?
Body weight exercises at home, a walk around the neighborhood, or even just stretching for 10 minutes. The goal isn't perfection, it's movement.
That's brilliant. You've built in redundancy. If one path fails, you have others.
And here's the key. I don't consider it a failure if I do the backup option. That's part of the system working.
Exactly. At 3 Mile Island, the problem wasn't that the auxiliary pumps existed. It's that they were closed for maintenance and nobody had a backup for the backup.
So you need redundancy for your redundancy?
For critical systems, yes. Seneca practiced poverty regularly. He'd eat cheap food and wear rough clothes to prove he could handle it if everything failed.
That's testing your backup systems.
Exactly. He was making sure his system was error-proof, not just error-free.
Okay, but here's what bothers me. Chakraborty says there's no root cause in complex systems. But doesn't that mean we can't fix anything?
No, it means you can't fix just one thing and expect the system to be safe. You have to redesign the whole system.
So after 3 Mile Island, they didn't just fix the valve indicator light?
They redesigned multiple systems. Better training, clearer procedures, additional safeguards, redundant monitoring. The whole approach changed.
And in my life, I can't just fix procrastination. I have to redesign how I work so procrastination doesn't destroy everything.
Now you're getting it. What would that look like?
Maybe instead of one huge deadline, I have multiple checkpoints. So if I procrastinate on one, I still have time to recover.
Or you build in buffers. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, visualizing what could go wrong and planning for it.
So I assume I'll procrastinate and design around it instead of promising myself I won't.
Yes, because trying to be perfect is hubris. Chakraborty says it's hubris to even attempt error-free systems.
Whether it's a fitness regime, product development, or airport service design.
Right. The goal is resilience, not perfection. Systems that work regardless of errors.
This is kind of freeing, actually. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be resilient.
That's very Stoic. Marcus Aurelius wrote about being like a rock in the waves. The waves keep coming, but the rock doesn't break.
The rock doesn't try to stop the waves. It just withstands them.
Exactly. Your body gets cancer cells every day. Nuclear plants have equipment failures. You'll procrastinate and miss workouts. The question is whether your system can handle it.
So what are the practical steps? How do I audit my systems?
First, identify single points of failure. What one thing, if it goes wrong, destroys everything?
For my meal prep, it was Sunday availability. If I couldn't do it Sunday, the whole week failed.
Right. So you add redundancy. Flexible prep days, backup meals, or healthy delivery options.
Second step?
Test your backups. Don't wait for a real failure. Seneca practiced poverty on purpose. You should try your backup systems regularly.
So actually try the 10-minute stretching routine before I need it as a backup?
Yes. Make sure it actually works and you'll actually do it. Otherwise, it's like those auxiliary pumps at 3 Mile Island, closed when you need them.
Third step?
Accept that errors will happen. They're not moral failures. They're just features of complex systems.
So when I skip the gym, I don't spiral into self-hatred and eat an entire pizza?
Exactly. You just activate your backup system, go for a walk, do some push-ups, move on.
This is genuinely helpful. I've been treating every mistake like a catastrophic failure instead of a normal system error.
Most people do. We suffer from hindsight bias. We look back and think if I'd just been more disciplined. But discipline isn't the solution.
System design is the solution.
Right. Chakraborty mentions that 500 other things went wrong at Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island that didn't contribute to disaster.
Because the system had enough redundancy to handle them. It's only when multiple failures lined up that catastrophe happened.
So the lesson isn't avoid all mistakes, it's don't let multiple mistakes compound.
Which means building in buffers and redundancies, so one mistake doesn't cascade.
Exactly. The Stoics understood this. They didn't try to control everything. They focused on building resilient character that could handle anything.
So my resolution for next year is to make error-proof systems, not 14 error-free promises?
That would be much smarter. Though honestly, maybe start now instead of waiting for January.
Look at you, being practical and destroying the New Year's resolution tradition.
The New Year's resolution tradition has a 90% failure rate. It's a terrible system.
Fair point. Okay, so to summarize, complex systems have errors all the time. Catastrophic failures happen when errors compound. Designed for resilience, not perfection.
Add redundancy. Test your backups, accept that mistakes are normal, and build systems that work regardless of errors.
Thanks for joining us on this journey from nuclear disasters to my personal failures, everyone.
Until next time, remember, your body defeats cancer 1,000 times a year. You're already more resilient than you think.
And if your system has a single point of failure, fix it before the bubble gets stuck in the sensor.
That's oddly specific, but completely accurate. This podcast is powered by VoxCrea.ai, where ideas find their voice.